Hey everybody, this week on the Inkwell, we're taking a look at 3 Oysters Dancheong. Dancheong means red-blue in Korean, and that's actually kind of interesting considering that this ink is not blue, it's just red. But you see the Dancheong pattern on the label of the ink bottle itself. Now, Dancheong also refers to the practice of decorating buildings in these floral and more earthy motifs. One thing I like about this bottle though, see that corner that's kind of cut out of it? That corner cut allows you to set the bottle down at an angle for either a decorative piece or easy filling when the bottle gets lower. Now let's take a look at the color. As you can see here, the swab does have a little bit of shading, but not much, it's a pretty straight red. In comparison, I do have the 2019 Franklin Christoph ink as well as Colorverse Mars Curiosity. I actually kind of think it's a little bit of a blend between these two. You've got the flat red of Curiosity and a little bit more of the berry red of the Franklin Christoph 2019 ink. I just wish there was a little bit more shading, maybe some sheen on this ink, but for a red, it's actually a really good color red, and I think it's very useful. Now for the writing sample, we used my Herbert Pen Company 2018 Summer Limited Edition pen. This one, say it with me now, has a broad Jowo number 6 nib. Two-tone, of course, because, well, two-tone is my guilty pleasure of choice when it comes to these number 6 Jowo nibs. And this one was tuned to be very smooth and very wet. So let's go ahead and... Oh, by the way, no, that's not blood. That's actually what this ink tends to look like, so it has caused an interesting moment or two since I've started using it. Speaking of using it, we've got our writing sample in our Tomoe River Paper Endless Works notebook. You can see the dry time is going to be about 20 to 25 seconds with a broad nib, so you can step that down to about 10 to 15 seconds in a finer or medium. Now, here's what I was saying about the color. You really have to glob it on the paper to get anything resembling shading. It's going to be a flat red ink, but it's going to be a soothing red, which isn't bad. But if you're a shading and sheen type of person, this is not the ink for you, so be warned there. Also, this ink has one great property. There's no bleed or show through, even on Tomoe River paper, which is amazing. So let's go ahead and move over to the water sample here. And we're going to go ahead and time how long I'm leaving the water on the paper. So enjoy the background music, and let's go ahead and let the water soak in. Okay, so you can see quite a bit of the red ink actually lifting from the Rhodia dot pad. But when we go to wipe it off, look at that water resistance. That is amazing from this ink. And I find that with red inks, it's either going to be really good resistance like this, where it's still extremely legible and the color's still there for the most part, or it's just going to completely wash away. There's no in between with red inks. And this red ink is on the right side of that scale for me, which is definitely a win for 3 Oysters Dancheong. So where does that put us on this ink? I think the name is a little misleading. I would have liked a little bit more of the red-blue that Dancheong is actually, well, what it stands for. But for the price here of $18 for a 38ml bottle of really good ink that is water resistant, and if you click on that radio podcast link at the top of the page and enter Inkwell in the How You Heard About Us, you get an additional 10% off of that. So it's not a bad price for the ink. It's definitely on the higher end, but overall, the price is where it should be for this type of ink. So where does that put us for Dancheong? I'm definitely going to be giving this ink an 8.5 out of 10. The only reason I'm knocking off points is I really would have loved to see a more accurate name for the ink, and I would have loved to see some better shading from it. So I'm going to wrap up the video here. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow the channel on Twitter and Instagram at The Inkwell. Support the channel over on Patreon. And join our new Discord, link down below. See you next week.